21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Have you ever wondered if you're actually charging the correct price on your work that your business does for your customers? Well, my name is Weston Zimmerman. I'm the CEO of SynkedUp, and I have definitely wondered that question, been wrong. And today I want to get into how we fix this problem and actually make sure that when you hit send on that proposal to your customer, it's profitable for your business. My story is essentially that I started working for a landscaping company, a contractor, when I was 16 years old. And I started as an employee, worked my way up through the leadership team eventually. And as the business was growing, we absolutely fought this battle of trying to make sure that our work is priced correctly. We went to seminars, we traveled the country trying to find a repeatable methodology to do this. Because so many contractors, like if you're in the contracting home services industry where you're essentially selling time and materials is really what you're selling. What tends to happen is how you price your work is all captured in the owner's head, and there's no real mathematical formula to it. It's based on 20 years of experience, and there's no way that that can be repeatable. So that's the exact struggle that we felt at Tussie Landscaping in Pennsylvania, where I grew up and learned this problem or fought this problem. And in our pursuit of fixing this, we stumbled across a somewhat famous business coach called by the name of Vander Kooi. And he had developed this methodology around overhead recovery, meaning recovering your expenses, your indirect overhead expenses in your pricing. Because what tends to happen is, as a contractor, you're pricing your work, never really quite looking at how much it costs to keep the lights on in your business. And you think you're making money, but then all of your overhead expenses suck that money right back out of your bank account, and you're left with nothing after all of your hard work. On this topic of pricing, what tends to happen, in the contracting space, small business world, what tends to happen is you develop a passion for a particular craft, or you get really good at doing some work of some sort, a trade, and it's like, hey, like I should go into business. Like, this is fun. I enjoy this. Let me do it for other people and make money doing it. And so you do that, you open a business, and then you're like, well, what should I charge? Maybe you were making 20, 30 bucks an hour as an employee at another company. And so $40 an hour sounds like a lot of money to you. It sounds like a great win. And then you're like, well, what should I charge? And you look to your left and you look at some competition across the other side of town, and you're like, well, they're extremely cheap. I'm not going to charge that little. And you look to your right at the established business on the other side of town, and you're like, well, I'm not that good, so I can't charge as much as they're charging. And you decide what you're going to charge completely based on your own self-worth. It's an emotional formula, not a mathematical formula. And you keep going, and you keep, so you go to town, you go to work, you get your first customers, you sell jobs, and you're proud of your work, you're honing your craft, you're actually doing good. Like, you have happy customers. But this happens. You're on the race to $1 million in revenue. You're trying to grow the business. To you, $1 million looks like a great milestone to hit. And it is. But what inevitably happens is you crush it on what should have been your best year yet. And you open your bank account at the end of that year, and you're like, how on earth could I have processed this amount of money and have only this much left in my bank account? Where is it? How is this happening? So that's the dilemma that we lived. And in my current role as CEO of SynkedUp, I see that dilemma throughout the entire industry, the small business contractor trades industry. It's everywhere. It's kind of a financial epidemic, I guess you could say. And really, that's why I wake up every morning, is to help more contractors, more hardworking craftsmen, tradespeople eliminate or short circuit that problem and arrive at the solution a whole lot faster than we did. In our journey of solving this problem, we were on pen and paper, doing things on the back of a napkin, in our heads, calculator on your phone, all that stuff. And you can do that. It's just prone to human error and takes a long time. So we then, after we were, like I was telling you, went on some of those seminars with Charles Vanderkoy, and we would get some spreadsheet templates, and we would be using spreadsheets and that kind of thing. And spreadsheets are truly amazing. They are incredibly powerful. You can do a lot with them. But again, they are extremely easy to make mistakes on. They're very susceptible to human error. And so as we kept on the hunt for how can we turn this magic of pricing your work profitably into a repeatable process that most anyone can do, well, the story is I came home from work one day in the middle of this struggle. We were using multiple software programs, spreadsheets, pen and paper. We tried a bunch of different products on the market. And I came home from work one day and my dad was sitting on the back patio, clicking around on some graphs on his laptop. And I was curious. And, I was a landscaper. I was not a tech person at all. Even though I enjoyed technology, it wasn't my domain. I asked him, like, what are you doing? And he said, oh, I'm testing a software project. And he was working at a tech company, and I was like, really? I was like, so you mean you can just build stuff? And so that's where the light bulb went on. And really long story short, we got a bid for $67,000 to build a custom software. And we thought we would get our hopes and dreams delivered for the price of $67,000 in custom software. Well, it was probably one of the most naive moments in my life, but we plowed ahead, and we, not knowing any better, we plowed ahead. And at first it was at first the mission was to solve our own problem, testing landscaping, and build a product that we could use internally. And again, remember, I was not an owner at Testing Landscaping. I was an employee, but I was kind of leading out this charge. And as we were building this thing, we won some awards and we got some recognition in our industry, and people, and I started knowing more contractors all across North America. And I started seeing, like, you know what, like, this problem is not unique to us. This is not a struggle that only we are facing. This is an industry problem. And when that realization hit me, my vision for this software project started changing. And I kind of went back to the owners of the landscaping company, which were funding this, and was like, hey, let's do this. Let's turn this into a software product. The need is huge. And it was also getting to the point where we were realizing there's no way that a small business like us could actually, it did make dollars and cents to build your own custom software project. It just doesn't, as a small business. You have to be 8 and 9 figures before that stuff makes sense. But anyway, so it was getting to the point where we're like, either we realized that this was a failed mission, it was not tenable, we pull the plug and stop, or we change course and say, we're not going to build a product for our own company. We're going to build a product for the industry and start a software company. And of course, I wanted the latter option. And thank God, I still wonder to this day how the stars all aligned. But I still thank God. I'm grateful for, like, Steve and Matt, the owners of the landscaping company, were like, yep, let's do it. And so we plowed ahead, building a software product. And in 2020, we launched it to some beta users, some people that we knew from the industry. And the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, we launched it. We launched this product called SynkedUp. The name came from our vision to sync up the back office team and the frontline field workers, so that we're all cooking from the same pot, so to speak. Like, we're all like, The estimators and the salespeople on the back end of the office are producing their estimates and job details, and the people on the front line are looking at it all through a mobile app on their phones and recording actual hours and materials used. And the people in the back office can then see all of that again. So that's where the name SynkedUp came from. It was our vision of syncing up the whole team. And we, as we were developing this product, we realized more and more that the magic we had built was not necessarily that you have one software product that your whole team is working from synced up. It was really the core ability to price work profitably, which is this concept of overhead recovery. And the way we do that inside of the synced up product is you essentially tell the software every dollar your business spends to be in business: insurance, marketing, sales staff, office staff, equipment that you may own, employees that you pay, those are direct costs, materials that you buy from your vendors, again, those are direct costs. But you tell the software every dollar your business spends to be in business. That's what we call building a budget in the software. And what the software does is it mathematically calculates to the penny what you need to charge per man hour on your crews or on your production teams to actually not only cover your costs, but also cover your indirect and overhead expenses and achieve your desired net profit margin. So it's solving that mathematical problem of what should I charge? And I look to the left, what are they charging? I look to the right, what are they charging? And I make it an emotional decision that's based on my own self-worth of what I think I'm worth, which I can tell you right now is always too low, always. I just know that from working with thousands of contractors. And it mathematically solves that problem. We call that solving the math problem in pricing work profitably. But then there's a second problem. As soon as you solve the math problem, you could still lose money, even though you have math that's perfect on paper. And I'll explain how. So let's say that you're bidding a job and you're bidding that it would take 100 man hours to do the work. And then it takes you 150 man hours to actually complete it in the real world. So even though your math was perfect on paper in terms of your hourly rates and markups and all of that, because it took you longer, it took you more resources, you still lost money. And we call that solving the resources problem. So we have a math problem and a resources problem, and SynkedUp solves them both. And the way we resolve the resources problem is well, I'll tell you, I'll explain it this way. I'll tell you a story. So a lot of owner operators in the small business trades contracting industry, they will look at a job that they're estimating and they'll say like, to build a patio like that, that'll take me about 15 tons of stone. And let's imagine that their new employee they just hired is standing beside them when they say that. And they're like, well, how do you know that? How'd you come up with 15? And the owner just says, well, I don't know. Just I've been doing it my whole life. I just know. And that is not a repeatable process. And you also have no way of knowing if it's right or not unless you track. And so what we do is we build what's known as templates and production rates for the estimating process, which is essentially taking that magic mad scientist stuff out of the many, many, many years of experience in the owner operator's head and turns it into a repeatable process in templates and production rates. And what templates and production rates really means is a template is like, hey, if I am building a patio, let's say, I need labor, materials, equipment, I need all of these things. And maybe you bring the template and bingo, all of your 20 items are in there. So you're not forgetting anything. Then the question is, well, how much of these items do I need? And that's where a production rate comes in. And so instead of doing the magic number of like, it takes this much from experience, you capture that data into a production rate. And the way you do that, let's just say, okay, you said it would take 15 tons of stone. Let's say that was for 500 square feet, divide 500 by 15, bingo, there you have your production rate. And you encode that into the software. And now in the software, all you do is you drag in a template and you plug in your measurements, say 800 square feet this time, and it calculates all the quantities of all the resources and labor that you need to do that job, essentially solving both of those problems, the math problem and the resources problem. Now, there's one last loophole, because I have essentially just described to you how I take production rates out of the owner's head and into a repeatable process, but now we got to prove that they're right. In the same story I gave you about the 100 man-hour estimate, but the 150 man-hour actual consumption of labor. So the way we do that is in the SynkedUp app. There's a mobile app for the SynkedUp for the frontline field workers, where they clock in and out and they log all of their hours on the app, and they get paid based on those hours if you're paying hourly. And the app also gives them what we call a digital job folder, like pictures, notes, material lists, everything they need to know about that job. And when they are clocking out for the day, it also prompts them to record what materials they use or receipts they purchase at vendors for this job. And so what the software is doing is it knows what you estimated it would take, but it's also tracking what it actually took, and then it compares the two in the reports graph and dashboard on each and every job. We call that job costing. And so you basically get a job costing report automatically populating right in front of you live in real time. And what that means is in real time, I can see estimated versus actual, how I'm doing on every job. And let's say that even though I got a template and production rate, I'm realizing that, hey, this is the third job in a row that it took more stone than I thought it would. Well, then the solution is to go back and update that production rate more to be more in line with reality, and bingo. And I'll highlight how powerful this is in a business by telling you another story where, when I was working at Tesla Landscaping, I was a crew foreman. Like, I was leading the installation of projects. And in the old days, when we were on paper and spreadsheets, we were job costing. A lot of contractors don't. It just takes so much time. But we were doing it. It was just taking us a long time to get it done. And so what would happen is I would finish a job as the crew leader, and say 6 weeks later, I'd get a phone call from the salesperson when they had finally finished job costing manually. And they would ask me, hey, why did we go over on labor, or why did we need more on this? Like, we didn't do so well on this job. Can you help me understand why, so I can not make the same mistake again? And the quality of my answer was terrible, because it was 4, 6, 7, 8 weeks later, and I just I'm on my 5th with 6 jobs since then, and the quality of my answer was just no good, or very limited. And put it this way, the effect was very limited. So what happened after we had SynkedUp, where we had live in real-time job costing, and in the mobile app as well, as a foreman, I could see estimated versus actual, how we're tracking. And so what happened is, once we had SynkedUp and I was the crew leader on a job, the script completely flipped. I was calling the salesperson before we were even done with the job, saying, hey, we're only about half done on this job, but I see that we've already burned through 80% of our man hours. Just letting you know, and here's why I think this is. I think we didn't have enough of hours on this, or hey, we had terrible weather and it was slowing us down. But the quality of our learning went up exponentially. And that was incredibly powerful to help us as a company stop repeating mistakes over and over and over again blindly without knowing what was going on. Because if you don't have job costing as a feedback loop, that's really what it is. It's a feedback loop. If you don't have job costing as a feedback loop, your first indication is going to be cash flow. The story I was telling you earlier. I worked hard all year long. My clients are happy. I'm proud of the work I did. But where in the world is the money? One of the side effects of implementing a system and a process like this in your business, like this whole thing of solving the math problem and then solving the resources problem, is you also, because it is in a repeatable system and process, 2 things happen. A, it's not only the owner operator that can do the thing anymore, do the task, and B, what was a 3-hour task turns into a 10-minute task, or even better. Like one of our customers in California was telling me, like, they do high-end outdoor living design build projects for outdoor spaces, and they were bidding multiple 6-figure projects, and it used to take him 2 or 3 days to pull a price together in spreadsheets. After they were done in SynkedUp with templates and production rates, they were doing those in 10 to 15 minutes. So that's the power of installing a system and a process, a repeatable system and process into your business. And software is really like building systems and processes is, it's the kind of thing that as entrepreneurs and business owners, it's like the least sexy thing to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's nobody feels great about doing it, but it is incredibly powerful. And I kind of joke saying that systems and processes are the keys out of the entrepreneurial prison. Because if you're the only person that can do it, you are literally in entrepreneurial prison. Systems and processes are the keys out of that. And, you know, the benefits of having someone else now be able to do the task, as well as whoever is doing it, whether it still is you or one of your employees, cutting the time by 90% is incredibly valuable. And I love the hashtag. One of our hashtags on our marketing is Thrive, Not Survive. And the whole idea behind that is like, look, we're not in business to work our fingers to the bone. We're in business to thrive and to provide the life that we dream of for our families and our team members too, our employees, right? Nobody wants to have miserable employees. Like, we want them to flourish. So anyway, that's the power of putting the systems process like this into your business. As we were building this product, man, I tell you what, like I was literally, I mean, I joke that I'm a hillbilly crew leader from the Podunk Mountains in Pennsylvania. You know, like I'm not, I'm not from the software or tech background. I'm literally a landscaper building tech. And really, the story was there. You know, I told you about seeing my dad working on software on the back patio, and so we got connected to the developer he was working with, and that's where we started. That's where we got started, but we quickly ran out of bandwidth. Like there was just one person, and my wife is from Romania, so I happened to know some kids my age that had gone to school for computer science, and I called them up out of the blue. Like, hey, what are you guys working on? And so anyway, long story short, we built an offshore team in Romania and also in Australia and India, and that's how we really started cranking out product, cranking out code. And that is how we got to our first like minimum viable product that went to market. And I mentioned that we got our first dozen or so customers from our industry contacts, like just people we knew from being in the industry, people that wanted to try what we were building. We like Tussie was very well respected. The landscaping company was very well respected, and a lot of people were trying to emulate the systems and processes that Tussie were building. So it was kind of an easy sell for the ones that knew us. But then from there, how we got to our first 100 customers was I just went into industry Facebook groups and I would just, guerrilla warfare, pound the pavement, looking for people that were asking questions about pricing work profitably, overhead recovery, all of those kinds of things. And I would engage. Like I wasn't really posting. I was only answering the comments. I would engage in their posts saying, trying to genuinely answer the question, but then also saying, and by the way, this is how we solved this problem. We built this product, da 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 da. And that's how we got to our first 100 customers, is just pounding the pavement in those Facebook groups. So then we went to our first trade show, and it's been a whirlwind from there. Like from that first trade show, we got some pretty influential customers that are pretty big on Instagram and well respected in the Instagram community and contractors. And so that took us to where we are today with 500 plus contractors from all over North America using the system. And today we're having a blast. We're not letting our foot off the gas. Like we're pouring every ounce of energy, resources, and dollars we can get back into the product. Because to me, even though I'm super proud of what we've done to date, I still feel like we're barely scratching the surface. Like there's so much potential, so much possibility, and I'm extremely excited for the future. And I envision SynkedUp being the financial entrepreneurship tool for small business owner operator contractors in the trades. And the vision is to end entrepreneurial poverty for these people, because what I see, and I say this even more with even more conviction, the more I travel, the more I see contractors from all parts of the world, is that it's not a unique problem. It's a problem that's easy to solve. but these are, people that take immense pride in their craft, and they tend to, I joke and I say they're allergic to the office. They would rather go to the dentist than sit in a meeting with their bookkeeper, And so I want to make more time for these owner operator business owners to allow them to get back to doing what they love, but not making financial mistakes that really cause a lot of pain in their lives. I want to solve that problem for them without making them get sucked back into the office. That's the dream. Most of what I've been talking about so far is about the mechanics of how we solve these problems. But this is another thing I've learned about entrepreneurship, even in myself, as I lead out building SynkedUp, and as I work with contractors doing what they're doing. In this day and age of the internet, information is no longer the bottleneck. 30, 40 years ago, information was absolutely a bottleneck to development and growth. Today, it's not. Anything you want is on YouTube. Everything I've been telling you, you could literally go search on YouTube. We have free resources on SynkedUp's website, free budgeting tool, free production rate calculators. We have all this stuff out there. It's all free. You can go use it. But in this day and age, what I am seeing is we tend to become, and I'm guilty of this too, we tend to become self-help junkies where we consume content on how to become better, but we never implement properly. And so I'm getting to the point where I would rather consume 10% of the content and implement 100% of it than just consume and never implement. And I see this because you know the story of what I've told you, like the problem we solved, and I see people coming to us being absolutely enthralled with it. Like, I want this. This is what I want for my business. I can't wait. Here, sign me up. How do I get started? And they think it's going to be a silver bullet that solves all of their problems. And in a way, yes, it can. But here's my point. If you don't implement, it's worthless. It's like people buying a membership to their local gym because they want to get a six-pack, but then they don't go. The easy part was buying the membership. The hard part is going. And so the same is true with any software product, with any entrepreneurial system, with anything you read in a book. It's all valuable. It's all good. But it's only as good. It's only potential for good until you implement it. And so the point I'm making here is, dude, you can hit up our website. You can get these free tools. You can sign up for the product itself, which, by the way, we have a full team of onboard experts that will help you implement and totally help you implement this stuff. So it's not like you're on your own. It's not completely sign up, enter your credit card, self-help. No, you actually get a live team of consultants working alongside of you. But the point I'm making here is, like anything, SynkedUp included, you can buy it, you can spend the money. That's the easy part. The hard part is the implementation. And your ability to build systems and processes and implement them in your company is the thing that defines your ceiling in business. And so much of the time in small business, contractors and trades, I talk to an electrician and they view themselves as an electrician. I talk to a landscaper and they view themselves as a landscaper. I talk to a plumber and they view themselves as a plumber. I want them to view themselves as not a plumber, electrician, or landscaper. They need to view themselves as a builder of systems and processes. The sooner they view themselves as the owner, as a builder of systems and processes, the faster they'll grow, the better results they'll see, and the less stress their entrepreneurial journey will be on them. So you can find out more about SynkedUp at synkedup.com, which is spelled SYNKEDUP.com. I share my daily journey pretty actively on Instagram, so you can follow my day-to-day on the Instagram stories and see tons of stories about our customers. We feature a lot of them on there. You can watch a pre-recorded demo or book a live call with one of our experts to find out if SynkedUp is even the right product for you, because I'm not a fan of twisting arms in the sales process. The way I view sales is we solve a problem, and the question we're trying to answer as quickly as possible is, do you have the problem that we solve? If you don't, then we don't want to try to sell you something you don't need. But you can also get in the same room as other people that are in the grind of business, just like you are, at our annual Contractor Summit event. It's in the fall of every year. It's an in-person live event. We do business spotlight tours. We do motivational keynote speakers, business speakers. The SynkedUp team, the leadership team is also speaking there. But it's a fantastic business networking event for small business contractors in the trades. But yeah, between Instagram, my own podcast, the website, you can definitely go down the rabbit hole, get the free resources. I'll give you the link here to put in the show notes that you can download these free resources for yourself. But yeah, I hope to engage with you somewhere and see you on the other side.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.